was not the case before 2014 when Russia committed the first aggression against Ukraine. And as I mentioned before, the NATO alliance, a defensive alliance with no designs on Russia, never has had them, never will have them, is stronger and larger than it was with two countries, Finland and Sweden, that no one thought would be interested in joining NATO a few years ago, and now are members of the alliance. And of course, Europe has moved itself away from dependence on Russian energy in extraordinary ways in just the space of 2 years. All of this represents, I think, a huge strategic setback for Russia. In many ways, Putin has precipitated many of the things he's sought to prevent. I hope that there's recognition of that. And look, the minute that Russia demonstrates that it's genuinely willing to negotiate, we'll certainly be there. And I believe the Ukrainians will be there.
This is my video update on this Tuesday, midday, April the 30th. Let's talk about some news, and let's start things off with Blinkety Blinken at the WEF special event, which took place, I believe, in Riyadh over the weekend. And Blinken, he said that NATO has no designs on Russia. NATO is not interested in Russia. And then he said that this entire Project Ukraine has been a strategic defeat for Russia. In many ways, according to Blinken, Putin accelerated a lot of things that he was trying to prevent. Blinken said, I hope there is recognition of that. I hope there is recognition of that. I hope that people recognize that we are winning. We're winning, really, we are. We're beating Putin, really. You have to believe us. We really are beating Putin. I really hope there's recognition of that. Blinkety Blinken said. And then Klaus Schwab told Blinken, eat them bugs, Blinken. Eat them bugs. But I don't want to eat the bugs. Eat the bugs, I'm telling you, Blinken. Eat the bugs. But I don't want to eat the bugs, Klaus. Oh, boy. So Borrell was also at this WEF event, Jungle Joseph. And he said that the EU will not fight Russia over Ukraine. No European boots on the ground. So according to Jungle Joseph, the EU needs to continue to send money and weapons to Ukraine so that the Ukrainians can fight the Russians. This is what Jungle Joseph said. Europeans will not go to die for the Donbass, but we could avoid that Ukrainians have to die for the Donbass longer. Many people could say, well, how long do we have to spend so much money? But we committed to support Ukraine. We have to continue supporting Ukraine and Ukrainians, enabling them to resist, enabling them to continue to be annihilated by the Russian military on our behalf in order to die for us, the globalist political class. That is what Jungle Joseph is really saying. We have to continue to fund Project Ukraine so that Ukrainians can sacrifice themselves on behalf of the globalist political elite. So that was Jungle Joseph at the WEF. And surprise, surprise, Stoltenberg made a surprise visit to Kiev to meet with Elensky. A surprise visit by Stoltenberg after he got the permission from the Russian government to travel to Kiev. Stoltenberg decided to surprise Elensky. And Stoltenberg told Elensky that Ukraine would eventually join NATO, but he did not give a timeline as to when. Ukraine would be allowed entrance into NATO. Trust me, bro, you're going to enter the club. Trust me, Elensky, you're going to enter the club. I just don't know when. But you are going to enter. I just can't give you a specific date and time. But you're going to enter. Trust me. Just keep on fighting. Keep on fighting, and you're going to get in. Trust me. Trust me, bro. It's like rushing a fraternity or a sorority. You really want to get into that fraternity or sorority, but you just can't figure out, why don't they accept me? And some of the brothers in the fraternity are telling you, trust me, you're going to get in. Most of the brothers, they like you and they want you in this fraternity, but not just yet. We can't let you in just quite yet. But trust me, you're going to get in. Oh man, here is what Stoltenberg said. The work we are undertaking now puts you on an irreversible path towards NATO membership, Stoltenberg assured Elensky, without elaborating on the exact timeline. The NATO chief also signaled that Kiev should not expect to join the bloc at the Washington summit scheduled for July. To have that decision, we need all allies to agree. We need a consensus. We need not a majority, but actually 32 allies to agree, he explained, expressing hope that the event would help demonstrate that NATO is moving Ukraine closer to membership. Yeah. Most of the brothers in this frat, they really, really like you. They really want you to be a brother in this fraternity. There's a couple of guys who are still, sitting on the fence. But trust me, you're going to get in. You're going to get in, Elensky. Trust me. Just keep on fighting. Keep on fighting. Oh, boy. So, the Washington Post, they put out an article saying that Ukraine is running out of troops for the U.S. military to train. So the Washington Post, they interviewed military officials who have been involved in the training process of Ukraine soldiers in Europe over the last year or so. And basically what these officials told the Washington Post is that they were training something like 12, I believe the Washington Post said 12 brigades in Europe about a year ago. And over time, the training of brigades has lessened and lessened. And in January and February, there were no brigades to train in Europe, which, according to these officials, what they told the Washington Post is that for them, this means that Ukraine has no men, no potential soldiers, no possible recruits, no troops, no men to send to be trained, which may just possibly, probably indicate that Ukraine is possibly, probably, maybe running out of troops. So Lithuania, they want to help Ukraine out, right? Lithuania being the very good friend of the Ukrainian people. Lithuania, they want to help Ukraine with its manpower shortage, according to the Lithuanian Prime Minister Simonit. Prime Minister Simonit said that Lithuania could take steps to make conscription-age men return to Ukraine, for instance, by finding ways to make sure that a person has performed their mobilization duty or is exempted from it when applying for a residence permit, residence extensions, she noted. However, that the issue needs to be discussed at the EU level. She noted, however, that the issue needs to be discussed at the EU level, right? Right, so they're going to check Ukrainian people living in Lithuania, they're going to check their papers. Papers, please. And they're going to see if their papers are up to date, or if they've already served in the military, or if they're exempt to serve in the Ukraine military. And if they spot any problems with their papers, then the Lithuanian government, according to the prime minister, could possibly send these Ukrainians back to Ukraine, where they will be sent to the front lines. Quote, "We need to work not only with the Ukrainian authorities, but also more broadly, because right now the EU has the so-called temporary protection in place for Ukrainian people," she stated. She's very upset about the EU's temporary protection, which is in place. The Lithuanian prime minister is very, very sad about that. She wants to help Elensky out, right? She wants to help Elensky out so that, according to the prime minister, Lithuania can help Ukraine solve its manpower shortage. That is what Lithuania, the prime minister of Lithuania, is saying. And sticking with Lithuania, we have this report from the Financial Times, which is saying that Russian GPS might be jamming commercial flights. And this is making commercial flights into Lithuania dangerous. Commercial flights entering Lithuania, it's becoming a danger. And this is according to Lithuania's foreign minister, who is an uber, a super duper uber Russia hater, Lithuania's foreign minister. And he told the Financial Times commercial flights are too dangerous to ignore. That is a quote from the foreign minister. So the entire article basically says that maybe Russia is jamming the GPS, and commercial flights are finding it dangerous to land in Lithuania. And the Financial Times, they say that 2 flights from Finland actually had to turn back to Finland because the GPS was being jammed. I worry about stories like this, actually. I really do worry about reports like this from the Financial Times, and this has also been this has been picked up by I believe the Kiev Independent as well. And they're talking about this GPS jamming in the Baltics. Something in my gut tells me that they're trying to create a scenario where they can blame Russia and then call for some sort of NATO conflict with Russia. Anyway, that is the GPS jamming story from yesterday. And we have this article from The Guardian. Ukraine War Briefing. Well, this title from The Guardian. Ukraine War Briefing. Russian pressure forces Ukrainian retreat from 3 villages. Russian pressure forces Ukrainian retreat from 3 villages. And the interesting word in this article from The Guardian is retreat. Retreat. They are using the word retreat, which kind of shocked me that they are using the word retreats. The world famous tree of life, everybody. The world famous tree of life in Nicosia, Cyprus. All kinds of creatures live in this tree, in these holes right here. These little nooks are full of life. That is why it's called the Tree of Life. I gave it that name. I don't think the city of Nicosia has actually given this tree a name, but I've given it the name of the Tree of Life. But what was I saying? Yeah, they use the word retreat. I'm surprised that The Guardian didn't go with a word or a phrase like tactical surrender. Ukraine is in a tactical surrender, or they are advancing westwards. The Ukrainian military is advancing westward. Russian pressure forces Ukraine to advance westward from 3 villages. So Italy is very upset with Russia. Italy's very upset with Russia. They're very, very mad. Very mad at the Putin. Meloni is upset with the Putin. And Italy, according to Euractiv, Italy summons Russian envoy over Ariston subsidiary takeover. What is going on here? What did you do now, Russia? Putin, what did you do now to upset Europe, to upset Italy? Why are you going around upsetting Italy, upsetting Giorgia Meloni? Let's see what's going on here. Italy on Saturday summoned Russia's ambassador after Moscow announced it was putting a subsidiary of Italian heating firm Ariston Thermo Group under the temporary management of state energy giant Gazprom. The government requests clarification on the matter of the nationalization of the Ariston Thermo Group, Foreign Minister Antonio Tajani said on X. He said he asked the top official in Italy's foreign office to summon Russia's ambassador, adding that Rome was working also with Brussels in conjunction with Germany after Bosch was also targeted. German company Bosch was also targeted along with Ariston Thermo. Let's see here. An EU spokesman condemned the measure as yet another proof of Russia's disregard for international law and rules, and called on Moscow to reverse it. You better reverse it, Moscow. You better unfreeze Ariston and Bosch under the temporary management of Gazprom. Because the EU's not freezing any Russian assets, right? You better reverse what you're doing, Putin, what you're doing, Russia. You better unfreeze the assets of Ariston and Bosch, because we haven't engaged in any freezing, have we? No, we're not freezing anything of yours. Why are you freezing our stuff when we're not freezing any of your stuff, Russia? That's just so uncool. Didn't Germany seize Gazprom's assets, Gazprom property, about a year and a half ago? I remember talking about this story. I do believe that Germany decided to confiscate, to take over all of Gazprom's operations in Germany. I remember that. Yeah, well, now it's time for Russia to do the same to Germany and to Italy as well. So yeah, this is what you get, Italy and Germany, when you F around. You F around with Russia. Well, Russia has ways at hitting back. And Russia plays the long game. I like that. They wait and they wait. They don't strike back right away. Sometimes they do, but they don't retaliate. Most of the time, they don't retaliate right away. They wait a couple of months. They wait maybe a year. Sometimes they wait even longer. And in this instance, they waited a good year, year and a half, and then Putin decided, you know what? It's time to take Bosch and Ariston and hand it over, temporarily hand it over to Gazprom. Nice, very nice. Europe is very upset. Italy is very upset. By the way, in the United States, we have a whole bunch of countries withdrawing their national gold from the U.S. and their foreign exchange reserves. Nigeria is one such country, a very big country, that is withdrawing its national gold and foreign exchange reserves from the United States. And there's a whole bunch of countries that are doing the same. I don't have the list of all the countries, but it's a lot. It's not just Nigeria. A lot of countries are saying, you know what, U.S., It's time for you to give us our gold back. I wonder why. I wonder why countries like Nigeria are deciding to take back their gold and their foreign exchange reserves. What is going on with regards to assets and foreign exchange reserves and foreign assets? What is happening in the collective West that is spooking these countries? Just can't figure it out. Just can't figure it out. I don't know. All right, let's talk about the possible deal between Israel and Hamas. Possible. Blinken is working on this deal. Egypt is working on this deal. Netanyahu is pounding Rafah right now, and he is saying that if there is no deal, then he is going to enter Rafah and destroy Rafah. But we do have some details about a possible deal that could avoid Netanyahu's destruction of Rafah. U.S. tells Hamas to accept extraordinarily generous deal. Secretary of State Blinken has urged the Palestinian militant group to take Israel's latest ceasefire offer. Now, here are the details of this proposal via CNN. The latest proposal, which Israel helped craft but has not fully agreed to, is laid out in two phases. The first of which calls for 20 to 33 hostages to be released over several weeks in exchange for the pause and the release of Palestinian prisoners. The second phase is what sources described as the restoration of sustainable calm, during which the remaining hostages, captive Israeli soldiers, and the bodies of hostages would be exchanged for more Palestinian prisoners. The diplomatic source familiar with the talks said the reference to sustainable calm was a way to agree to a permanent ceasefire without calling it that. So instead of calling phase 2 a ceasefire, because you can't use the C word, they're going to go with the words restoration of sustainable calm. That's the plan. That is the plan, which, according to CNN, even Israel has not fully agreed to it. But Blinken was in the Middle East, or is still in the Middle East, and he is urging Hamas to sign up for this deal. I believe Foreign Secretary Cameron, he is also urging Hamas to agree to this deal. Phase 1, 20 to 33 hostages will be released, along with Palestinian prisoners, and then phase 2 is the ceasefire, or the restoration of sustainable calm. And, you know, the Biden White House, they are very worried about the ICC arrest warrant, I believe, for Netanyahu and for a lot of his administration. They're very concerned about it. And the reports are that the Biden White House is even putting pressure on the ICC to not go ahead with issuing an arrest warrant, because NBC News, they are reporting that the arrest warrant of Netanyahu could be issued this week. And I believe that if such an arrest warrant is issued by the ICC, I think that would make it illegal. I could be wrong about this, because I don't think the U.S. recognizes the ICC, but it could make it very difficult for the U.S. to send weapons to Israel. I imagine for the EU, for Europe, it would make it impossible for them to continue to send weapons to the Netanyahu administration. And I think it would have an effect on on cooperation between the collective Western Israel, especially in the area of nuclear technology as well. I don't know. That's my sense of things, but I could be wrong about that. But I do know from various reports that the Biden White House, they are begging the ICC not to go forward with the arrest warrant. The arrest warrants, actually. So let's do a couple of more news stories. Let's talk about a couple of more news topics before we get to today's clown world. And in Georgia, in Tbilisi yesterday, there was a rally in support of the government and in support of their foreign agents law. So yesterday there was a rally, a protest against the foreign agents law in Georgia, or 2 days ago, there was a protest, a large protest against the foreign agents law, and yesterday there was a protest in support of the government and the foreign agents law. Anyway, here is what the former AC Milan star Kaladze, who is now the mayor of Tbilisi, said at this rally. Let's see, he said, quote, "They want to tell us black is white and the alphabet propaganda is good. They try to stage a revolution while we don't even know their income source." And he's right. He is right. The protests are being fueled by the NGOs, and the government in Georgia doesn't even know where the money from the NGOs is coming from, because that's all hush-hush, super-duper secret stuff, right? You can't disclose where you're getting your money, where you're getting your funding and your income. You don't want to disclose that. That would be undemocratic. It would be undemocratic to show where you're making your money or where you're getting your money. That would be undemocratic. It's all Putin's plan, right? That's a pro-Russian idea. Being transparent about your income is pro-Russian, according to the protesters that are against this Foreign Agents Act. My thinking on this is, if the protesters, they want the NGO's income to remain hidden, if they go ahead with this and they say, okay, fine, we'll allow the NGO income to be hidden. The NGOs, they don't have to disclose where they're getting their money from in their financial statements. I say that why stop this at NGOs? Seems kind of unfair, doesn't it? If the NGOs are allowed to hide their income sources, then in Georgia, every business, small, medium, large, every business, every organization, every institution, every individual should be allowed to hide their income sources. That's only fair, right? So if you're a business, when you submit your financial statements, you can just have a line which says revenue X, and you don't need to get into any detail as to where that revenue came from, because, you know, why do you need to know that stuff? That's so pro-Putin. Disclosing where you make your money, that's so pro-Russia. It's such a pro-Russia idea. Oh boy. So Spain has got some interesting stuff going on, at least with the prime minister, or should I say the former prime minister. Or no, wait, he decided not to resign. He's going to stay on as prime minister. What is going on with Sanchez? Man, what is going on with Prime Minister Sanchez? One day he says he's going to resign. The next day he says, nah, I'm going to stick around. So Sanchez's wife, from what I understand, she's involved in some sort of a scandal where she took some meetings with a tourist company during the period of the coup. And correct me if I'm wrong, people watching from Spain, I believe she promised this company money or something, or this company was given. She didn't promise, but she took a meeting with this company, and then it was given money to get through the coup because everything was on lockdown, and they've opened up an investigation against Sanchez's wife because there is the allegation, the claim that she provided favors to this tourist company. And then the prosecutor yesterday or last week in Spain decided to, or is pushing to drop the case against Sanchez's wife. And Sanchez last week said he's going to resign because of these allegations. And then he walked out of his offices in Spain, in Madrid, and he saw the people were supporting him. And they were saying, Pedro, don't go, Pedro. We love you, Pedro. And Sanchez said, I can't resign. I just can't do it. The people, they love me, man. They love me, the people. They don't want to see me go. And Sanchez the other day said, I am not resigning. I'm going to fight. I'm going to fight for Spain. I'm going to fight for my wife. I'm going to fight for the world. And he decided to stay on as prime minister. I'm going to fight for Elensky, he said, because this could have been a pretty big Elensky curse moment. This could have been a really big Elensky curse moment, but not yet. Not yet. No Elensky curse for you, Spain. Not yet. But it might happen, but it might not. We don't know. We don't know. Maybe the power of Elensky number 5 is starting to fade away. I don't know. Maybe we have to get to Elensky number 6, a more powerful Elensky perfume or cologne. I don't know. Sanchez met with Elensky a whole bunch of times, though. He really did meet with Elensky a whole bunch of times, but he has avoided an Elensky curse moment for now. Interesting story, what's happening in Spain. Very interesting. So that takes us to today's clown world. And today's clown world has to do with a TikTok ban, but not in the United States. We've already talked about the possible TikTok ban in the United States. There could be a TikTok ban in the EU as well, according to Ursula von der Crazy. She said yesterday, I believe during a debate.
But I think it is very important that we should not be distracted from the real problem. And these are the proxies of Putin, who try to destroy the European Union from within.
Brussels has become a swamp where unelected bureaucrats are going to utilize their vision of a European federalized superstate. And we have to stop that. That's why our campaign promise today is that we will begin by firing 10,000 bureaucrats in Brussels. And I would like to start with you, Ursula von der Leyen. Your Commission presidency has been a disaster.
She was asked about the TikTok ban in the US and what the EU is going to do, and Ursula said that TikTok is not excluded from being banned in the European Union as well. That's right. Ursula said that the EU, they know what TikTok and China is up to. And we could be seeing a TikTok ban in the European Union as well. Because whatever the US does, well, Europe, they also have to do it, right? And just last week, Macron was talking about how the European Union should not be a vassal to the United States. And now Ursula is saying if the US bans TikTok, well, we're going to ban TikTok as well. I don't know, Ursula. If you ban TikTok, you just might lose the vote of all the young European citizens who love TikTok and love their free speech, and they're not going to vote for you, Ursula, in the European Union elections. Aren't you worried, Ursula, that you're going to lose the vote of all the young EU voters? Oh, boy. Yeah. It's all theater, my friends. It's all theater. All right. That's the video, everybody. How am I doing on time here? Yeah, that's the video. I don't have anything else to report for today. I think I had another clown world, maybe another clown world lined up, kind of a clown world. It's a post from Lord Bebo. The Leopard's cannon was bent down because some people complained that it stuck out too high. The lifting mechanism is apparently broken, so these methods had to be used. Schultz, look what they do to your boy. And there you can see the Leopard tank in Russia, in Moscow, on display. Those Leopard tanks. Oh, boy. All right. The Duran.locals.com. We are on Rumble, ODYSEE, BitChute, Telegram, Rockfin, and Twitter, X, and go to the Duran shop. Go to the Duran shop, use no code, but you can pick up limited edition merch, like the shirt that I'm wearing right here. I will put a link in the description box down below to pick up this shirt and other limited edition merch. Take care.